You're watching Reddit Revenge. Let's dive into today's story. I'll never forget the night everything fell apart. I came home early from work, exhausted but excited to surprise my wife with takeout from her favorite Thai place. Instead, I walked straight into a nightmare. There she was, my wife of less than a year, in our bed with a man who could have been her father. And trust me, I don't say that lightly. He was graying, overweight, the kind of guy you'd expect to see at a retirement party, not in your wife's sheets. I froze at the doorway as he clumsily spooned himself into her. Both of them so lost in their pathetic little bubble they didn't even notice me at first. When they finally did, her face turned ghost white. She scrambled for excuses, babbling nonsense about how it wasn't what it looked like. But there was no saving this. In that moment, I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I just shut down. Something inside me went cold. The very next morning, I walked into a lawyer's office, signed the papers, and that was it. Less than 12 months into marriage, and I was already divorced. At least that's what I thought. I believed walking away clean would be the end of it. No kids, no shared property, nothing to tie us together. She had chosen money over love, and I was ready to let her rot in her own bad decisions. But I had no idea this was only the beginning. For a while, I thought I was finally free. After the divorce, I poured myself into work, grinding through long hours, determined to rebuild my life and forget the mess she left behind. No more drama, no more betrayal, just me focusing on my career and trying to move forward. But freedom doesn't come that easy. Not with her. Out of nowhere, she started creeping back into my life like a bad dream you can't shake. First, it was little things. A random text at 2 in the morning. I just want to talk. A friend request on social media after I'd already blocked her on everything. I ignored it all. I figured if I didn't respond, she'd get bored and move on. I was wrong. When my small freight company started to take off, she saw her opportunity. Suddenly, she wasn't just an annoying memory. She became a full-blown problem. She'd send me long, ranting messages about how I owed her for all the sacrifices she made during our short marriage. She threatened lawsuits, claiming she was entitled to part of my business. Of course, that's not how divorce works. She had no legal ground to stand on, but she wasn't interested in the law. She was interested in making my life miserable until I paid her off. First, I tried to ignore her. Then came the nasty social media posts, full of lies and half-truths meant to smear my name. She wanted attention, pity, money, anything. She thought she could bully me into giving her what she wanted. But here's the thing about me. I don't bend to bullies. Not then, not now. Her obsession didn't stop with messages or social media rants. No, she escalated. Every holiday when she came back to visit her parents, she'd accidentally drive past my house. Sometimes she'd slow down, roll down her window, and just stare. Other times she'd blast music and speed off, like a teenager desperate for attention. It was childish but also unsettling. Friends warned me she was unstable, and I believed them. I remember one Christmas Eve, I was coming back from dropping off gifts for a client when I noticed her car parked down the block from my place. She just sat there, headlights off, like some kind of dollar store private investigator. Did she think she was intimidating me? Did she think I'd break down and give her money just to make her go away? She miscalculated. The truth was, I'd already rebuilt myself after she destroyed my trust. Compared to that, her little stunts were nothing more than background noise. Sure, it was annoying, but I wasn't about to let her think she still had control over my life. I ignored her games, focused on my business, and each year my company grew stronger. Meanwhile, I knew, deep down, her life wasn't going so well. She had tied herself to a man twice her age, thinking he was her golden ticket. But that ticket was already crumpling. He was sick, broke, and definitely not the fairy tale she'd been chasing. And when fate finally caught up with him, it would leave her exactly where she hated being most. Alone. The day finally came when karma cashed its check. The Prince Charming she had thrown everything away for, he didn't ride off into the sunset with her. He collapsed from a heart attack, gone just like that. And there she was, suddenly a single mom, stuck with all the responsibilities she thought she had dodged. The man who was supposed to bankroll her happily ever after left her nothing but bills, stress, and a child she had to raise alone. When I first heard the news through a mutual acquaintance, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered the smirk on her face the day I caught her cheating, the way she demanded what she was owed for a marriage that barely lasted a year. Sympathy? She had burned that bridge a long time ago. Meanwhile, my life was only getting better. My small freight company was starting to build a reputation. I had employees counting on me, clients who trusted me, and enough income to live comfortably. I wasn't rich, but I was proud. Every mile driven, every delivery completed, was proof that I didn't need her, and never had. She, on the other hand, had to swallow her pride and move back closer to her parents. Everyone in town knew her story. The whispers at the grocery store, the sympathetic nods that weren't really sympathetic at all. She was the cautionary tale now. And that's when the idea hit me. Revenge doesn't always come in fire and fury. Sometimes the sweetest payback is a smile, and a perfectly placed reminder that you survived her, and she didn't survive herself. It was almost funny how casually the opportunity landed in my lap. A buddy of mine mentioned, in passing, that my ex's kid was about to start Little League in the upcoming season. I smiled and nodded like it was no big deal, but in my head, gears were already turning. See, I've always believed in supporting youth sports. It builds discipline, teamwork, confidence. So I thought, why not sponsor a team? My company had grown enough to handle a small expense like that, and it'd be great PR for the business. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just a chance to give back to the community. This was fate handing me the perfect stage. Because if I sponsored a team in her town, my name, my full name, would be stitched right across those uniforms. Imagine it. Every Saturday, every practice, every game, she'd sit there surrounded by kids wearing jerseys that screamed my success, my survival, my victory over her betrayal. And just like that, the plan was born. I reached out to the league a few weeks later, playing it cool like I was just another local business owner trying to support the kids. They were thrilled. Small-town leagues always need sponsors. A quick form, a modest check, and boom. OP Transportation was officially the proud sponsor of a Little League team. What made it sweeter? My company name wasn't just a brand. It was my first and last name right there in bold. No one could miss it. The league told me the best part. The players were randomly assigned to teams. No favoritism, no trades, just pure chance. I didn't need to scheme or manipulate a thing. Destiny would take care of that for me. And while I didn't say it out loud, inside I was grinning ear to ear. Because no matter what team her kid landed on, at least once or twice that season, she'd have to sit across from my name. Big, bold, and unavoidable. This wasn't revenge in the form of yelling or lawsuits. This was slow-burn humiliation. The kind where every single game would remind her, I made it without you, and you're still stuck in the same place. The day came when the team rosters were posted online. I clicked through casually, expecting nothing more than a small thrill. And then I saw it. Her kid's name. On my team. I had to double-check. No mistake. The random draft had done exactly what I had hoped, without me touching a single thing. Every Saturday practice, every weekend game, her child would be wearing a jersey emblazoned with my name. OP Transportation. Big letters across the chest, impossible to miss. I felt a mix of satisfaction and glee. This was poetic justice in its purest form. She had spent years trying to unsettle me, manipulate me, harass me, and humiliate me. And now the universe, with just a little nudge from me, had turned the tables so perfectly. Every win, every post-game pizza party, every cheer from the sidelines, she would be forced to confront it. I had moved on. I had built something real. And she was powerless, sitting in the stands with nothing to do but watch, fuming silently. The beauty of it? She couldn't even yell, couldn't interfere. Her attempts at control had been stripped away by something as simple as a youth sports league. And all the while, the kid had no idea, oblivious to the little war unfolding around them. Game day arrived, and I almost couldn't wait to see the look on her face. She showed up with her kid, coffee in hand, pretending to be casual, but I could tell. She was bracing herself, wondering what this season would hold. Every kid on the team wore the jerseys with my name shining across their chests. The first time she saw it, her eyes widened. She muttered under her breath, clearly caught off guard. And I stayed tucked in the background, blending in, letting the moment simmer. Every cheer from the team felt like tiny fireworks of satisfaction. Every high five, every proud shout of, "Thanks, OP Transportation," made her squirm just a little more. She tried to smile, tried to act normal, but I could see it. The irritation, the frustration. She had no power here, no influence, no leverage. Just my name, my life, my success staring her in the face. Even the parents of other kids noticed. Whispers floated through the stands, little comments about the company sponsoring the team and how visible it was. And there she was, forced to sit there and take it all in. By the end of that first week, it was clear. The tables had turned. She had spent years trying to get under my skin, and now she had front row seats to my life moving forward, thriving, completely untouched by her games. Weeks passed, and every practice, every game, every team photo reminded her of one undeniable truth. I had moved on, and she was still stuck in the past. She tried to act indifferent, tried to mask her annoyance with small smiles and polite nods, but I could see it in the little things. The way she checked the schedule obsessively, the way she whispered to other parents about that company name again, and the way she flinched every time one of the kids called out, "Thanks, OP Transportation." Her kid was blissfully unaware, laughing, playing, enjoying the season. Meanwhile, she was trapped in the stands, a spectator in my little masterpiece of slow, quiet revenge. Every win by the team felt like a small victory for me. Every post-game cheer, every pizza party announcement. Tiny sparks of satisfaction igniting in my chest. It wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, but it was perfect. She had spent so much time trying to control me, to manipulate me, to get something out of me, and here she was powerless, forced to watch a life she couldn't touch. A life I had built from scratch without her. And the best part? It wasn't just revenge for the past. It was a reminder, quietly, to her and everyone around. You can't mess with me and expect to get away unscathed. Life has a way of balancing the scales in the most ironic ways. By the end of the season, the pattern was crystal clear. Every parent, every kid, every casual spectator knew the team was sponsored by OP Transportation. And every time she saw that name, a little reminder of her past mistakes hit her square in the pride. She tried to maintain composure, but subtle signs betrayed her. The tight jaw, the quiet sighs, the forced good game, as the kids celebrated. She had invested so much in trying to manipulate my life, and yet here she was powerless, staring at the life I had built from scratch. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't send messages or call her out. I simply smiled quietly, watched my team play, and savored the perfect, slow-burn revenge. Every game was a testament to resilience, patience, and the ultimate satisfaction of rising above betrayal without lowering yourself to her level. By the last game, she had learned something important. Control isn't taken, it's earned. And sometimes, the sweetest victory isn't shouting from the rooftops or fighting in courts. It's living well, thriving, and letting life itself deliver the lesson. The season ended, the kids celebrated, and I walked away knowing I had won in the most satisfying, silent, and unforgettable way. Revenge had been served subtle, precise, and utterly complete.